Oh man, you losing your mind yet? You losing it? You staying healthy? You staying alert? You trying to binge Netflix? You trying to moderate your binging? Oh my God, guys, this is week. This is week 5. It's week 5 of this. You know, you think about it. More people have gone through more difficult things. I just hope you're okay. I hope you're safe. Hope you're healthy. Hope you got your groceries. I hope you're still employed. Freaking crazy what's going on right now. It's going to be interesting in the time capsule to go back and listen to this. If you're hearing this in the future, it's because John McCombs is famous. Or I've gotten famous. And then next to that, the world is going through the coronavirus pandemic right now. It feels like we're living through a dystopian novel, actually. Super strange. And I really I hope we're all okay. I hope we come back to normal or some semblance of normal. People are like, nobody's going to shake hands. They're not going to, Michael Shermer the other day on Joe Rogan was like, people aren't going to shake hands anymore. Yeah, I get the feeling people are going to get back to shaking hands, but it is definitely going to be super bizarre until literally everybody gets a vaccine, basically, or you get it and then recover, and we get some kind of herd immunity going on. Super bizarre. And, of course, there's going to be a whole issue with anti-vaxxers in that situation, so welcome to living in that Steven Soderbergh movie. The one. That guy's a great filmmaker. Anyway, speaking of great filmmakers, we have a great comedian on today's podcast, John McCombs. We talked in the past, long before any of this stuff was happening. He's a hilarious dude, and he's does a lot of the European stuff that I've also done in my career. Such that it is in comedy, and I talk with him about it. It's really fun, man. It's fun. If you're listening to this and you're a comedian, think about going to Europe. I mean, flights are actually kind of cheap right now when they come back on, and you can go over. You can have a real blast, man. Go over there, have some fun. People pay to go see comedy. It's almost unbelievable in the sense that that you if you're not used to people paying to see you, this is a time when they will absolutely do it. So, very cool, and without further ado, here is John McCombs, everybody. That's pretty good, right there.
Okay.
I'm going to turn this guy down just a little bit.
All right.
Because this is a little hot. John McCombs, welcome to the podcast.
Hey.
How you doing today, man?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, I'm thankfully not sick. So everybody around me is getting sick, and it makes me paranoid because I hate being sick over the holidays.
The whole I feel like the whole city of Chicago's not feeling well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's that time of year, so and everybody. I don't know if you take the train at all, but
yeah, pretty much all over the place. Everywhere it'll go.
I try to touch the least amount of surfaces that I possibly can on the train. It's just a germ, Just the entire CTA is just one germ. Just one
pretty
giant germ.
Have you been in? You walk in the. If you've been, this was happening to me the other day. You've been in the L when you walk in and there's like something in the seat. There's like ripped paper or like a stain or like anything, and no one will sit down there.
Oh, you mean every single day on the train ever? That's usually it's some type of bodily fluid that I can't readily identify that I try not to touch or even look at.
Which line do you ride?
Blue line.
Well, the blue line's. I feel that people talk about the red line being the worst. I think the blue line might actually be the worst.
Okay. Well. Because I've gotten in a fight on the blue line before. But,
have you really?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah, well, I was coming downtown. This was actually before I had the present job I have. I was coming downtown to go to like a comedy bar, I think, and So I'm on the train, and then these two guys get on. It's this I assume a homeless guy, and then some guy probably just like straight from O'Hare, because he had all his bags with him and stuff. And so, anyways, like the homeless guy's just like harassing them, just like pushing up on them. The guy's like just trying to get away from him.
Oh my god!
And yeah, the homeless guy's like boxing him in. Like, and so this is
Like aggressively.
Oh yeah.
What was his? Why? I mean,
I have no idea. I had no idea what transpired before they got on the train, but
sure.
for whatever reason, this homeless guy is like, I'm going to take my day out on this dude.
Oh my god, man.
Yeah, so this happened right next to me. So, a fight between that, city mentality of it, don't worry about it, it's not your shit, it's not your problem.
Oh yeah.
Then there's, I was in the Marines, so like the Marine side of me is like, no, fuck that. Get up there, be a man, And so I stood up. And I went to the homeless guy and was like, hey, man, just leave him alone, And so the homeless guy, like, puts his hands on me. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's a mistake. So,
oh, no.
Yeah, I didn't have to punch him. I just, like, stiff-armed him into the door and then, like, spun him around and bear hugged him. And he got really apologetic at that point.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he was saying, like, man, you going to do this for a white boy? You really gonna do this for a white boy?
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah, like trying to pull race into her. So it's like, yeah, man. Like, so the doors open. I throw him off the train, and he.
What station are you at?
Oh, maybe Chicago and Milwaukee, Grand and Milwaukee.
Got it. Okay, somewhere getting towards the loop though.
Yeah. And so he before the door closes, he stands back up, just stares at me, and like does like finger guns to me, like not like the funny finger guns, but like terrifying, like slow pull of the trigger finger guns. Like
what the fuck?
Yeah, I'll be honest, got a little scared.
Yeah,
I was like, fuck.
Homeless people are fucking terrifying, man.
Well, I was like, I don't know who this guy knows.
They get like weird kind of like. They get like weird kind of. Well, I used to. So I can appreciate. So I have a similar kind of thing. I was never in the armed forces or whatever. But I come from a family where everybody was mostly Air Force, dating all the way back to the almost the beginning of the Air Force, to be totally honest. But I get the same feeling. I used to do a lot of mixed martial arts. I used to wrestle. Like, I get the same feeling of when I see something like that happening. I'm like, and it's not like I'm going to be a hero. I'm just like, I just don't, it's like a feeling of like justice or something. Like, I'm like, don't you fucking, like something like that. I kind of feel a little bit weird though, because in mixed martial arts, we constantly were told, we were like, you never know what somebody is capable of. You never know what they have. Like, so I have this weird feeling where when I see that shit, I'm like, is this enough for me to feel like I'm gonna go maybe get stabbed right now?
Well, the good thing, at least, and I'm sure in mixed martial arts they talk about this, but it's you have your rules. In the Marine Corps, when they're talking about fighting, there's like, there are no rules.
Yeah,
like whatever you got to do, you got to gouge eyes, you got to punch somebody in the balls. Like,
fucking do it.
Yeah, you fucking do it. So I was always like, if I was gonna get into a fight, say for instance, like some guys approached me, and were like, I could sense like it was going to be a fight, I would hit first.
Oh yeah.
And I would hit, like, I always tell people, like, yeah, you want to cause as much shock as possible and then get the fuck out of there.
Oh yeah.
So like gouge eyes, hit them in the
bite
balls,
hard,
whatever you gotta
do.
Yeah, and then get the fuck out of there, because there's no honor in standing up to three guys punching you repeatedly. Like, it's already like not honorable. It's not a fair fight. It's you against three
dudes. There's no referee.
Yeah,
there's no like weight classes
for real. So I'm the biggest one. I'm punching him straight in the dick. That's what I'm leading with.
Dick punch, dick punch.
He's down,
and then break out.
Exactly. Get the fuck out of there. I'm not trying to stick.
This is my Julasco.
Yeah. So to answer your question, the red line is still worse. Well, I say the blue line has more homeless people. The red line has more crazy people.
The red line, I feel like I'm trying to do, just like, it sounds like I'm a fucking new comic in Chicago, but I actually want to do a bunch of stand-up on the L. I actually want to go do stand-up on the L, Clay Hurlbut's been doing
Yeah,
it
I
for
was
over
gonna
a
say,
year.
he does that.
And a friend of mine from LA, Maxie Gumprecht, she has a or Maxie Witrack. Sorry, Maxie. That's her stage name. Anyway, she's got a show where she does it on the LA Metro. So I was like, well, I should do the same thing in Chicago. That'd be really fun. And so I've been writing a whole bunch of, I mean, fun as in like, scary, weird. It could go any which direction. So I started writing a whole bunch of different jokes about the L. I haven't really worked any of them out on open mics.
You just have specifically L material for when you're on.
Yeah, like
L.
commuting and like all kinds of stuff. But one of the things that I was thinking about was I was like, getting on the L to go to work in the morning, even as early as like I would get up and be out on the platform at 6:15 in the morning before going to work. And it's like a roll of the dice, dude. You got no fucking idea what you're walking into.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's not like the Brown line.
Are you in terms of, like, safety or in terms of how many people are in?
People, safety, like anything. You have no idea. Like, I'm on the platform. I should probably tell this on the train sometime. I was on the platform once, just to kind of go along with your story. I mean, I grew up in Metro Detroit and around some sketchy areas, so my sense/barometer. I mean, I luckily didn't grow up in a sketchy area, but I grew up around sketchy areas, if that makes sense. And so I have a pretty good, I think, barometer to whether or not something is somebody's being fucking weird, or whether or not something's gonna go down, or like whatever. And I was standing on this platform, and there's a dude on the outbound platform. I'm on the inbound platform, and he's huge. He's like 6'5", maybe. He's like enormous.
Yeah.
And he's clearly like on something. Like he's crazy, or he's just pacing, and he's like looking around, and he's doing this shit with his hands where he's like explaining something to people who aren't there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And he's like moving around, and as I'm looking at him, I'm like, what the hell is this going on? Because he just like shows up, and he's walking around, and so I'm looking at him. And then he turns and he looks up and he makes eye contact with me.
Oof, big mistake.
I know. I was
No
like,
eye
oh, no.
contact
God
ever.
damn it, man. God damn it. Like, it just happens. In the 2 seconds I happen to look at him to try to, my brain digest what's happening.
Got to use your peripherals, man. That's what they're there for.
Oh, my God, for real, dude. And so then I see him make a beeline for the stairs. And I'm like, oh, he's about to walk over to the side of the platform. And I'm like, fuck. And I'm with my girlfriend. We're trying to go to work. And it's like 3-4 minutes to the red line arrives on the inbound platform. I'm like, this is just, God damn it. And I don't want to tell, I'm not like with her. And I don't want to like weird her out by being like, this big fucking crazy dude's about to walk over and like hassle us.
Yeah.
So I'm like, because I mean, I know, but I kind of also don't know. Like maybe he's going to wander somewhere else. But like, of course he's not going to do that. So as we're standing there's all these people on the platform, and I'm watching the entrance to see if he's going to come up on it. And sure enough, he steps up, and just as he gets up to the platform, the train arrives. And like he's like looking at me, and he's like trying to, all these people are crowding around the door, so he can't like get up to me because there's people in the way. And I don't know what's going to happen, but the door opens and like people start going in, and then like it's like up, like me and him it's about to have the two of us go in. And my girlfriend's about to walk in the car. She's totally oblivious to like that any of this is happening.
Oh, well, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I stop her. I put my arm out and I stop her.
Where's your girlfriend from?
Wisconsin. Yeah.
Classic,
Like Green Bay area.
People would never grow up in a big city.
Yeah.
Just walking around oblivious to danger.
Yeah, right.
We're in a fucking minefield right now.
Dude, it's oh my God. Like I digress, but I asked her, I bought her one when we first started dating. I bought her one of those cat keychain things that you can like fucking jack somebody in the eyes with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? And I also bought her a pepper spray thing.
Wait,
and
just for her birthday?
just because she didn't have anything.
I
I just was like, you have no.
I love you got her weapons for her birthday. She probably is like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
She was like, why did you buy these for me? And I'm like, we live in like Chicago's a dangerous city. Like go to fucking crime in Boys Town or Wrigleyville. Just Google that. And then you'll go to the police blotter for like Lakeview, not even for the whole city, just for Lakeview, Boys Town, which is like a rather safe neighborhood as Chicago goes. And it's just like this person was attacked, this girl was raped, this person. It's just like every fucking day, it's like something else just drops in the city of Chicago. Like it's nuts. And so I read this thing, and my downstairs neighbor when I first moved here was a Cook County sheriff deputy. So he was like dude, he's like, you need to watch out. These streets are crazy. Like all this stuff. He's like, I know you're out doing comedy. If you come home late, just be careful. Like it was crazy, man. So anyway, I buy this shit for her, and then she says to me, you know what? I don't really want these, and I'm like, are you kidding? I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, I don't really invite violence into my life, and that's what she said.
Oh God.
And I was like, you don't understand how violence works.
Violent. Yeah, everybody who's ever been mugged was inviting violence into their.
Oh my God. I was just like, I was like, listen, just carry these on you, okay? Can you please just do that?
Should have got her a Peloton.
Oh my God, yeah, right. It's my first date. That is the weirdest fucking. How could one company get that so wrong? You know what I mean? All right, let me finish up the story before my brain explodes.
Your
Though
viewers are losing their minds. We're like, what happened with the crazy guy?
What's going on with the crazy guy? He killed me. That's what happened. So I'm on the platform. I'm like, I stop her. I'm like, we're not getting in this train car, and she kind of gives me this weird look, and I stop her, and the guy's looking at us, and then I like gesture into the car for him, like I'm like, you go ahead, sir, and then he walks in, and I immediately grab her arm and run to the next train car. And then the doors and the people are getting on after him also. So it's like, it's not just like people behind me were like, why the fuck are you stopped?
What race was this guy?
He's a huge black dude.
Oh, okay. Well, you know he's going to go through that emergency door to change cars. That's not holding him back at all.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for real. I mean, that's what I was worried about. But like I disappeared and we ran to like the other side of the other train car. So he didn't see us run. Okay. He didn't see us go to the other train car. And I was looking through the window between the cars. And I could see him looking around for me, and then after like we go to Fullerton, and then we stop at North and Clybourne. And by the time we got there, I noticed that he had his brain had moved on to whatever the next thing was.
Yeah.
But it was very weird because I was like, I don't know what the fuck this is about to be. You know what I mean? It was definitely, and so that's taking the red line. I feel like you have no idea what you're about to get in. You know what I mean? It's like you're tuning into. You know how Fox used to have these like world's wildest police videos. Mm-hmm. I'm Sheriff John Bennell.
Oh yeah,
like I fucking love that guy. I'm
Whatever
Sheriff John Bennell. He used to do. My favorite thing about that is he used to like sum up shit at the end of every episode. When criminals are on the run, trying to have fun, you can bet, bar none, that there will be police to stop them.
He would always talk without moving his mouth. I remember that was his thing.
He would always start, I'm Sheriff John Bennell.
It hurts to speak.
It's just a guy who's constantly constipated.
Yeah.
Like he just, I'm Sheriff John Bennell. Anyway, it would be like that. It's like you get on you have no idea what you're tuning into every morning when you get on the damn thing.
You know,
is the car going to smell like vomit? Is there going to be a bunch of dudes sleeping?
These are one of these instances where it actually pays off to be a minority. Because when I'm surrounded by white people, I don't get fucked with.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. Yeah, no doubt.
They're like, they're easier targets here.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah, then that south of 35th Street, then I'm like, oh fuck, I got a pea coat on.
Oh my God.
Done for.
That's a little bit how I feel when I take the green line anywhere. As I'm like, I'm a white man on the green line. I need to watch out.
Oh yeah, you're getting fucked with first. So
I got on at Oak Park once and was coming back into the loop on the green line, and I'm the only white dude on the train. And I feel I should just, for the listener, I feel comfortable being the only white dude in a situation. I grew up in Metro Detroit, a very diverse community, not something that when I first moved to Colorado, I felt very weird when I first moved there, and part of the reason was it's just all white people, and I was like, man, I'm not used to being just only around white people. It's very odd.
Recognize how mediocre you are.
Yeah, yeah. There's nothing special about me. Yeah, no. So I'm on the green line, but I notice I'm like, shit. I'm the only white dude on here, and part of the reason I noticed that is because I suddenly feel like I'm getting this weird attention and this huge. I don't even know how to describe this person. What is very clearly somebody who, whether or not they identify as a man, they have a fucking Y chromosome, and for sure have a dick because you can see it under their dress. Walks up and just starts talking to me. Yeah. And I have headphones on, and I'm just immediately, and this is when my sixth sense in terms of like don't make eye contact, like really kicked in. And I just am sitting there and I can hear this person talking to me and then yelling at me. And I just knew that I'm like, if I just ignore hard on this, I'm going to come out of this okay. And that's pretty much what happened. And that every time which is not often, but every time I come back from Oak Park on the Green Line, going there is not too bad. For some reason, coming back is always when shit is like, I don't know what's going to happen.
I've actually felt, at least in my personal experience, I found that I can get rid of bullshit easier if I don't ignore it. Like if I'd actually engage with whoever's talking to me, because I could talk my way out of shit and I can diffuse shit, but if they come up to you, they already have whatever pre-notion or whatever kind of interaction they want to have. They already have that in their head, and when you don't acknowledge it, I feel like it just exacerbates whatever they already think. So I would rather engage and diffuse if I know it's like this is gonna be a weird interaction of whatever. I can at least engage and kind of get an assessment, and kind of just, if it is going in a direction that's like insane, I can try to not relate, but try to like bring it down a notch and get them like, you're all right.
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I was gonna stab you, but you told me which way O'Hare is. So
that's so funny. Yeah. I can kind of relate to that, I guess. The one time that I talked my way out of it and I knew I was in some shit was I was in and this may be by way of talking about traveling, an introduction to kind of part of the reason I wanted to have you on the pod, was I was in Yellowknife, Canada, which is the capital of the Northwest Territories in Canada.
Was that the Yukon or?
It's not the Yukon. Yukon is a different territory, but it's like that same part of the world.
Gotcha.
It's like up in the middle of nowhere. It's 200 miles 200 miles south of the Arctic Circle. So closer to the Arctic Circle than we are to Detroit right now.
Gotcha.
And I mean it's wild. Like it's in the middle of fucking nowhere. I left Denver Airport and I got on a plane that flew 2.5 hours north to Calgary, and then I got on another flight that flew 2.5 hours north again to Yellowknife. It was a 5-hour flight. It was wild. Anyway, there's a real this computer. Sorry. God damn it.
Just gotta unfuck the computer right now.
This whole thing, it's just super fucking loud, man. God damn.
What is that even?
This computer. It's Slack.
Oh, is it Slack? What's Slack?
Slack is it's like a notification service for groups and stuff. It's for like work. Is this thing still making fucking noise? I'm gonna throw this laptop out the window.
I don't think.
Anyway, sorry everybody. Most professional podcast. Most professional podcast in comedy. I'm Sheriff John Bennell. When Slack goes crazy, world's wildest Slack messages. Okay, so what was I saying? Okay, so I'm in Yellowknife, and I'm there's a real, and it's crazy to me because what I'm about to say sounds so fucking racist, but it was explained to me when I got to Yellowknife that they were like, there's a real native problem here in Yellowknife. And I was like, that sounds so fucking racist and insane. And like, and like, let's not.
It's a little darker here.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, right.
Like it to be.
Like, let's make no mistake. I mean, I'm sure that
native problem.
Yeah, they're like.
I think the natives have a foreign problem.
Yeah, I think the natives have a Canadian problem. Yeah,
yeah.
They were there a lot longer than the rest of you motherfuckers. Like, they didn't have any problems until you guys showed up. So no, I mean, like, so thank you for putting, because I agree. Like, there's historically that's fucked for a whole bunch of reasons.
It is really backwards. Okay.
Yeah. But that's what people said to me. And they were like, no, dude, there's a native problem. And I'm like, and then like me with my fucking Midwest, like liberal, like fucking cultural shit. I'm like, so that's a really problematic statement and like all this stuff. And this guy's like, look, man, I'm not trying to like be any certain way about this. I just want to tell you, like, you need to like if you go into a bar tonight in Yellowknife and there's like a lot of natives there, just leave. Like, don't stick around. I'm like, all right, man. Like, I don't. So it kind of goes in one ear and out the other because I'm like, that sounds insane.
Mm-hmm.
Later that night, I go into this bar called the Ravens Bar, which I didn't. This is how fucking ignorant I was. The raven is actually the symbol of northern peoples. Like all of the like the people who live in all of the indigenous people in northern Canada. That's their like they identify with the raven, and so it's like a native like a indigenous person's bar basically.
Yeah.
So and I show up and I'm like, hey guys, can I get a beer or something like, and so I have like one drink and I'm hanging out and I can kind of tell that like nobody's talking to me and that like I'm absorbing a weird amount of like and type of attention, and so I have one drink and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna leave. So I walk out, and as I walk out, this native dude stops me, and he kind of like shoves me into this wall, like not like hard, but just like lightly, kind of just like pushes me into this like wall as I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And I'm like, "I'm just leaving, man." and he's like, "Why is this not your scene? Like, what's going on?" And I'm like, yeah, man, it's a cool bar, but I just kind of felt like it was time for me to go home. Like, and he's like, what the fuck, man? Like, what the fuck is your problem? And he just starts coming at me with this like weird shit. And he's just like, this is our bar. He actually said that. He said, this is our bar. What are you doing here? And I'm like, well, I'm leaving. And I just keep telling him, I'm like, dude, I'm leaving. I'm not sticking around. And he's like, you trying to fuck with me? And I'm like, nah, dude, nope. And I just literally, for probably, I would say like a really intense minute, maybe. I mean, it wasn't longer than a minute. This dude just kept anything he could come at me with to try to get a hook so that he could like fight me or fucking, I don't know what he would have done. Just come at me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just, everything he was saying was just like, yeah, like you fucking think you own this place and shit. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm not even from here. Like, just, yeah, I'm just leaving because I think it's probably too late for me. Like, you guys seem like you're having fun. Just keep having fun. I'm going to go. Like, every single thing I just was trying to matrix dodge.
Did
and,
you like just cough in a bag of beads, hand it to him like, here's
some
a
wampum,
gift.
dude. Just let me leave. And finally, I think he kind of just got worn out because I just was so totally. I mean, I'll be totally honest, dude. I fucking showed my belly. I was just like, dude, I'm done. You're the cool dude. Like, I don't want to fuck around. And like, why would I? What do I have to prove in that situation? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's and especially in that situation, you don't know he probably knows everybody in that bar.
Yeah,
too.
dude, he could fucking. And then somebody told me the next day when I was at like the work site that I was working at.
They fucked up some other white guy.
No, yeah, they were like, dude, somebody said they were like, where'd you go last night? I'm like, the Ravens Bar, and they were like, really? They're like, Jesus, man, didn't you listen to a word we told you? And I was like, well, and they're like, yeah, they're like a white dude was stabbed there like a week ago. Like he was in critical condition. Like it was fucked up, man. I just can't believe I was such an idiot. Like, and it was entirely because I was like, this is a small town, whatever. 30,000 people live here. It's not that bad. And like, sure enough, it's like there's a real like it's really fucked up.
Wait, so why were you up there?
I was working for the better part of like 2.5 years. I worked for a container manufacturing company. I was an international sales manager for this company gets into us talking about you traveling around and stuff. I had lived in Europe for a while. I'd lived in France, and this company had just acquired their first major foreign client, and they happened to be French. And so I could speak French and knew a thing or two about, importation, export, this kind of stuff because I'd worked at the U.S. Embassy in Paris for a while, and so I knew a little bit about this stuff. And so these guys hired me, and I just traveled all over the U.S. and Canada, and not really too much more of the world than that, but just facilitating these kind of like sales purchases and the delivery of these like containers to people. So it was like basically I sold boxes. Okay. I was like a giant Tupperware salesman essentially.
Gotcha, but you made money hand over fist for that shit.
Well, I wouldn't say hand over fist, but yeah, I made it. I did it okay, I guess. But like, but this gets me into. So I have always had kind of an interest then in international comedy, and I did comedy like all over Canada when I was doing this job, and when I was in France before and
should have
after
tried
that.
to start a show at the Ravens Bar.
Going Native.
Start a showcase.
Going Native,
Yeah.
a comedy show by Brendan Lemon. So when did you start doing comedy outside of the U.S.?
I mean, I was in the Marine Corps for 4 years, so that's when I first was starting to travel. So I guess, I mean, technically the first time I did outside the U.S. was actually on a U.S. military base, so I don't even know if that counts, because I did like
technically U.S. soil? It wasn't to a foreign audience.
No, it wasn't to a foreign audience. So it was on the base. So
Which base?
this was the first time was out in Romania. I was deployed there, and it was actually I was doing a show I was hosting a talent show. So I was telling jokes and whatnot in between.
Did you do comedy before this?
I did, yeah. I started in college, and then I went into the military afterwards. But so anyways, like I was out there for 6 months. I was bored, not able to get up on stage for 6 months. So I was like, yeah, let me organize a talent show or something. And what was actually fun about it was that this was when we were drawing down in Afghanistan, and like a lot of people were coming home. So our base was one of the main hubs for troops coming back to the United States from Afghanistan. So we had this big like theater, so people would come through and they'd be there for like a day or two, and then they'd leave. But
they'd be a captive audience while they were there. Basically.
Essentially, I mean, they don't have anything to do. They can't go out. They can't leave the base. So, I'm doing a show for them, and actually went really well. And then I knew it went well because the next day I was like in line at the barbershop, and one of the guys coming from Afghanistan, I don't know this guy, and he's talking to his friend. He's like, "Yeah, man, that host that was pretty funny last night." I was like, "Yeah, that's awesome."
That's great, man. So you had done comedy. When did you start doing stand-up?
Me 9 years in January.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
So 2010 is about when you kind of had 2011, just into 2011.
Well, 2010, 9 full years. So I started in 2010, January 2010, and then there'll be 9 full years, and then we'll be going into year 10 after January.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
That's really cool. How did you, and what made you decide to want to start?
Yeah, I mean, I had kind of dabbled a little bit in like, because I was in a youth group when I was in high school and whatnot, and I would do like impressions.
Is it church youth group?
Yeah, yeah. I would do impressions for my friends, and we'd have like talent shows, and so I'd do impressions, or I'd do like some dopey little, I don't know, like mock stand-up skit where I just tell jokes about like people that we knew, and like jokes about the Bible and stuff. Yeah, which actually went over well. I mean, all things considered. So, but yeah, I would dabble back then and kind of.
Where did you grow up? When was it? Where was this?
Joliet. So.
So you're
Southwest
just
Chicago
in the
suburbs.
area, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then when I was in college, I'd mentioned to one of my friends that I used to do something like that in high school. And so she said, "Oh, yeah, you should do stand-up." So I found a local open mic, and this was I was going to University of Illinois in Champaign. So I found a local open mic, and I did it, and I liked it. So
How did the first time on stage go?
it was fine. I did the classic new comic thing. I brought a bunch of friends, and
Oh yeah.
I went up last because I brought a bunch of friends.
Oh yeah, and they were probably all drunk and super supportive.
Oh yeah, they were drunk as shit.
They like cheer when you like tell your joke or your first joke. It's so weird to watch. It's even weird to still have friends come and visit you when you're doing a show or doing whatever. I mean, you obviously don't bring anybody to an open mic now, but like. It's always strange to me because I feel like they want to be supportive, and the way that they translate that support is so fucking annoying sometimes.
Yeah, and sometimes I do the thing where like, yeah, I'm only gonna laugh at your shit. It's like that's not a contest.
Yeah,
man.
dude.
And even if it was, laugh at what you think is
It's funny, man. Yeah.
There's no need to like mean mug everybody else.
Yeah.
Just enjoy yourself, have a good time. This isn't a contest. Like,
Yeah.
And even if it was, it doesn't mean shit. So just
Have a good time, man.
yeah.
It's not a zero-sum game.
Yeah, there's no reason to.
Nobody's running for office tonight. Like there's something about and I sound like such an asshole because I'm being critical of like my friends and family, I guess. But there was something about I did a show over the summer and a whole bunch of people I knew came out to it, which was great. But like I got on stage and they were just like, yeah, and just like kept going.
Top, yeah.
And I was like, stop. Like, do you guys not understand how fucking awkward this is for for me and for you and for literally everyone else here? Like now everybody kind of hates me because I
set that standard. Like this guy better be fucking funny.
Oh yeah, right. Like, oh god, this dude, did he save that woman's life? Like, what the fuck is like?
Yeah, I've gotten that before in like comedy clubs where I was in North Carolina, and like I'd invite some of my friends out to the club because I was like featuring that night, and they would do that shit, and I'd just tell them on stage like, hey, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, you guys gotta stop.
Yeah, this is not
not cool. Yeah, you gotta treat me like everybody else.
Yeah, like make me earn it. Come on now.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, that's very funny, man. So the first time you did was overseas on base, but when did you decide to like, hey, you know what, I'm gonna go travel around? Because you just got back from Germany, I think, recently, didn't you?
Yeah, I was doing a tour this fall. I hit up 12 different countries, so I first started like doing it traveling solo. Right after I got out of the Marines, I actually enjoyed traveling, and one of the unfortunate things about the military is anytime you travel, they let you almost have fun. So they're like, they put this like stipulations on you where it's like, yeah, you could go out in town, but you can only have 2 drinks.
Oh yeah.
You have to be back by midnight, like all these rules, and you're just like, this is almost fun.
Yeah.
So it was just like a cock tease, just
that's
fucking
so
ridiculous.
funny.
Yeah. So first thing I wanted to do when I got out, I was like, I had a bunch of money saved up because I don't spend money I don't spend money at all now, but even then I was making a lot more money, and you're deployed, you don't spend anything. So I had a bunch of money saved up, so I was like, yeah, let me go travel Europe. I'll do like the backpacking thing. So I took 2 months to go travel around Europe, and while I was out there, before I went, I was like, why not try and see about doing comedy while I'm out there too.
Yeah. What year was this in?
This was 2017. Yeah, 2017.
Okay, got it. A couple years ago.
Yeah. So summer 2017. Yeah, I actually made some contacts even from the United States. Like I did a comedy contest in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Horrible place. But I met some guy out there who was actually studying abroad in Estonia. So he hooked me in with his people out there who he was doing comedy with. So, I went out there. I was like, all right, let me meet these guys, introduce myself. So that kind of gave me the idea to also do a podcast while I was out there where I'd interview people of different comedy scenes. And even if it was like I wasn't going to get on stage or do an open mic, even at least we could talk to the producers out there about what it's like to do comedy in all these different places. And so that's how I got to meet a lot of the bookers, meet a lot of the people who are running the scenes down there, kind of understand a little bit more about the lay of the land, without even having to do a show or get on stage. I did like an open mic in Estonia, and it went okay. And then I would do like little, and that first trip, was more so like sightseeing than actually doing comedy. But everywhere I went,
you kind of connect with the comedy scene a little bit.
Yeah. I try to either, jump on, do a guest spot for a show, or talk to somebody about the comedy scene. So that's how I made a lot of contacts when I was out there. So yeah, podcasting does actually pay off.
Yeah.
Even if no one listens to your podcast.
Well, I mean, it's funny, man, because just to digress on that point for a minute, I've been doing this for the podcast, that is, for 2 years and some change, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got, I don't know, 100-something episodes, I think, now.
Yeah.
And only now, 2 years in, is it starting to feel like it's kind of paying off a little bit. Like, I feel like 2 years in now is when I'm getting contacts who I've, spoken with for a while, I would not have ever connected with otherwise. And now they're starting to come back and like, or refer other people to me, or like just any number of different things.
Yeah.
And that's interesting that it's taken like 2 years for this to even start paying. And I still don't make any money from this.
Yeah,
you know what I
say
mean?
you getting some sponsorships yet?
No, I haven't gotten any sponsorships yet. I haven't like tried either.
Mm-hmm.
But like mostly all I've been doing is this is just a great excuse for like I've known you, I've known of you, or like have had like, oh, that's that guy for probably 2 years maybe. I don't know when you moved to Chicago, but probably
about
not
2 years ago.
Yeah, about 2 years ago. So 2 years. But this is the longest conversation we've had.
Yeah.
And like, but it's not that. I just think to myself, like, the podcast was a great excuse for me to be like, yeah, let's talk with John. Like I think it's cool that you decided to. I mean, I talk about it all the time, about doing comedy in Europe, because I started a comedy show in France and lived over there for a while. I did Edinburgh. Like I go to the UK because I have family there and do comedy every once in a while. I talk about it a lot. It's really getting outside of the comedy scene, especially in Chicago, but also in the United States, is like a kind of eye-opening, because you go over there, there's a different sense of humor. People find things differently funny.
Mm-hmm.
Things that people find funny here, they don't find funny over there. And the other way around too.
Well, even like varying from country to country out there, because I mean, a lot of people think America's huge, so but we all speak the same language, and generally we all have the same.
It's a very similar culture.
Yeah. In pockets, change here and there, but in Europe, it's a patchwork, So what somebody thinks in Estonia is vastly different than what somebody thinks in Italy.
Yeah.
Those are two entirely separate cultures.
London to Paris, are two cities that are not even that far apart.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you could do comedy in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and you could do comedy in Portland, Oregon, and you could do the same set and get almost the same laughs and the same laugh lines at the same time, and people would respond to your material the same. But if you did that in London and Paris, it'd be completely different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the Myrtle Beach, like I said, is a shithole. Just garbage people having on vacation. So just
I went there one time, and it definitely was like a white trash, like trailer park haven.
Yeah, it's white trash Disney World. It's horrific. That place is awful. I just imagine the comedy clubs out there, man. It's yeah. But in any case, I probably just blacklisted myself.
Whatever, man. You're doing comedy in Estonia.
Yeah, but that's one of the things I recognized when I was doing this latest trip is like, I have like a lot of different material. So I have stuff about being in the military, and that falls flat in Germany.
Yeah.
Because they just obviously view their military a lot differently than we do view ours, whereas opposed to like Poland, that does really well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and those countries, are right next to each other. So, you go, 100 miles east or west, and you get entirely different reactions to the same joke.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is so interesting to me. So, like, when you went over there, maybe not the first time where you're kind of just like sightseeing and feeling it out, but when you go back the second time when you're like, I'm putting something together, what were some of the movements, like what were some of the discoveries you made when you were trying to do comedy that maybe you didn't think about, or that like what were surprising to you?
I got a feel for how much of our culture, like how much American culture like influences cultures elsewhere.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because they know all of our politics essentially. They know a lot of our cultural references. They know they watch the same movies. They listen to the same music. So I think like I made a reference. I did like a throwaway reference I forgot I had in a joke up to This Is America.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they got it.
Oh,
they
wow.
were laughing. And I was actually surprised. I was like, oh shit, you guys
actually
know Childish Gambino?
That's so
like,
funny.
Yeah. So I forget what it was, but it was kind of funny in that they, we influence so much of the world, and so much of the world watches everything that we do, that like you can go over there and talk about that type of stuff. Like they're familiar with like Black Lives Matter. They're familiar with, all this stuff, everything that's happening here that's a big issue, they also understand it over there. So it's not as big as a divide culturally as people might at first believe. Now, of course, there's some like references that you got to look at on your material where, like, I tried one of the big eye-opening things is like when you travel anywhere, I'd say, and get out of Chicago, you realize some of your material's so Chicago and city heavy, it doesn't translate. And so I watch people here who crush, and they'll go 20 miles any direction
outside of the city, yeah,
and it will fall flat.
Yeah,
and it's like they don't know what
That's
to do.
so funny, man.
And it's like, so you start to get an idea of like, oh, these references I have, they work well. I can do it well here, but if I go outside of this city, nobody fucking knows what JJ's Fish and Chicken is. Okay, like,
or just the same things. Comedy comes from tension, the juxtaposition of emotions or situations, and it's funny because you can go outside of the city and people just don't have tension around those things like they do inside the city. I was talking about this. I went to a holiday party last night, and I was talking to somebody about this where I was like, yeah, the doing comedy in the north side of Chicago is super weird sometimes because it feels like you just it exists in this very weird bubble.
Yeah.
Where like people have a very particular kind of like etiquette and taste, and then if you try to go, like if you do a road gig outside of the city, like just like you were saying, it almost inverts the etiquette or the taste. Like it's almost like things that people in this area hate, other people outside the city love.
Oh yeah, and even within the city itself, it's like Chicago's a very segregated city.
Even within the city itself. Yeah.
I remember I was doing a black room, and like, people going on stage. It's an open mic, so it's like all kinds of different variations of like experience. And there's this girl in the front row with her friends, and like comics would go up and try to do material. It just bomb and just bomb. They didn't want to hear material, and so like they made the first guy made a riff about this girl's like low cut shirt. It's like, man, look at the titties, and everybody's dying. And then like every other comic after that was just like, yeah, look at the titties. It's just like it's fucking murdering.
Yeah.
Whereas you do that on the north side of Chicago, that's a fucking blog post.
Oh my god, dude,
that's a Facebook status with
your fucking Twitter's after you.
How dare they objectify?
Yeah, you're blacklisted.
And it's like.
There would be a post on the Chicago community.
Oh my god!
And it would just be like comedians who were getting on stage and sexualizing women in the crowd. It wouldn't even call you out. It would just be like a fucking anonymously passive aggressive.
Oh, yeah. You go 5 miles south of here. They don't give a fuck about what kind of woke bullshit you're trying to talk about on stage. If you can talk about somebody, somebody's titties hanging out, and it's funny. They don't give a fuck.
They don't give a shit, man. Yeah. It's so fucking. That's so true, man. That's why the black rooms are some of my favorite rooms to do, dude. Is I feel like there's a weird ass, like, especially on the north side of Chicago, but also I mean like Boulder, Colorado has this. I mean there's just a lot of other communities like where it feels like there's tight ass white people who just feel like they're like, I don't know, how should I feel about this? Like if you're saying something, and even you don't even have to. I mentioned this on the podcast before, and people are probably fucking tired of hearing me talk about it. But I have this joke where I talk about I knew Trump was going to get elected because I heard somebody at the Chicago Pride Festival say there are too many N-words in Lakeview today. But the joke is that I'm like, they didn't say the word the term N-word refers to. They said the term N-word. So they literally said there are too many N-words in Lakeview today. And the point of the joke is I'm like, it wasn't until that moment I was like, fuck, you can be racist and politically correct at the same time. Like I was like, holy shit. Like no wonder Trump's won that election. And so that's the whole joke, but I can tell that joke, and I have on the south side of Chicago, and people are like, that's funny, I get it.
Yeah.
And like, but then I do that joke, north side of Chicago, Boulder, Colorado, and people get off the ride as soon as I say the term N-word. And I'm like, do you guys get it? Like, this is not
also you're referencing something somebody else said.
Yeah, right? Like, it's super, but it's just like, that is so radioactive that they don't even want to get on board with that idea right there.
Yeah, and sometimes like doing shows up here, man. Like I have a joke I'm still trying to work out where I have a ref. It's the premise of the joke essentially is that there are creepy women in the world.
Yeah.
And so I go on this whole thing about like women, like if you've ever seen a woman get turned down for sex, like it's like so that it doesn't happen and register in their mind as a possibility.
Dude,
so they get
that is so funny.
Yeah, and so
Oh my God, John,
their
that's so
mind goes
funny.
someplace crazy.
Yeah,
'Cause
they
it's
go
like,
fucking insane
Yeah.
because they've never. This doesn't happen to me.
Yeah, but in the joke, I have a throwaway line where like I say like I turned down this woman for sex, and then like she like looks at me weird, and I'm like, damn, is she thinking of like raping me right now? But the fact that I say
The R word.
yes,
Yeah.
I feel people just fucking pull back,
Yeah, hard.
and it's not like I'm not trying to trivialize
Yeah.
it. What I'm
No, but as soon as you get outside of the city, you go to fucking Waukegan. You
Yeah.
go to fucking. You go back to Joliet. Even you go further than that out. You go to Fort Wayne, Indiana. You go to whatever Grand Rapids, Michigan, Saugatuck. I don't know where you go, but like
Yeah.
you go outside of the city. People, you say that to an audience. People get what you're saying. Where
Yeah.
you're like, because you're not. The fact that you said that word is like more so in that moment. You're like, I'm scared. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, and it was working overseas when I was doing it in Europe.
of course,
Yeah,
of course it was.
Yeah. People were just like, all right, we're on board with you.
Yeah.
And then the joke doesn't go in a direction of like edgelord bullshit, but yeah, but
edgelord bullshit.
yeah, I'm not trying to.
That's my Reddit. That's
not
my
tr-
Reddit account name.
not trying to offend people, but they were able to look past the fact that I even said the word rape.
Yeah.
And they were able to see like there's material behind here, and there's a place where you're going with this that's not that's subverting whatever expectations they have. But here it seems like the fact that I said the word, it is a triggering mechanism and causes people to shut down. And now it's like the rest is the joke.
Yeah.
It doesn't have
Well,
the same effect.
This is what's so fucking weird to me about this, and because my experience. I'm glad you brought this up because my experience doing comedy outside of the U.S., particularly in Europe, is the same as what you just described, which is like you can say shit and they're willing to go with you, like.
Yeah.
To, you know what I mean? They're willing to go like, yeah, sure, we'll see where this goes.
Yeah.
And you have to really kind of display some real lack of tact.
Well, I think part of it is also like the translation too. It's just like, oh yeah, he just said, whatever is the most accurate translation for his like. English as a second language is absolutely hysterical because people will say things to you that sound like if they were a native English speaker, it would come off as fucked up, and it's hilarious to me, dude. Like if you go, I did a show in Austria, and afterwards, I crushed this show. It's one of those shows. I you when you crush.
Yeah.
And I like from top to bottom was just crushing the whole time. And so people were having fun, and I'm it's after the show, I'm shaking hands and some lady comes up and she's laughing and having a good time, all smiling. She's just like, I was like, hey, yeah, you have a good time tonight? Yeah, it's just like the show was pretty good. Like just the way she said it was hilarious to me.
Yeah. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, it sucked, huh? Like, it's just, that is so funny, man. That is I found the same thing. I've noticed the same thing is like when a lot of the shows I've done have been in France, and they have a similar kind of like, already I am seeing your show and I think to myself, he's not that bad.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
I came here, I didn't know what you were going to say. I thought this might be a shitty night, but it turns out to be a pretty okay night.
Not that bad of a time, I think.
Yeah.
You say this one about when you come over. You say the American person, he's like this. So that was a little bit funny to me. you're like, what the fuck? Like, if anybody said that to you in the U.S., you'd be like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I came over to see the show, and I was like, yeah, this one when you said the American was like this, that was a little bit funny to me. You'd be like,
Yeah.
it was better than that, you piece of shit.
Could I also say, I think like everybody, people give that the stereotype of Germans not having a sense of humor, and that's not accurate. Obviously they have a sense of humor, and a really good one too, and partly it's because they're influenced by our culture and society. But
Oh yeah,
but Austrians, that's 100% fucking
that's
true.
so funny.
That's 100% true. Austrians are like mildly on the spectrum.
Yeah.
Like every single one of them has like
I'm
a weird.
listening to your joke about the man jumping out the airplane without the parachute, and I'm thinking that's not a safe way to.
Yeah, just the
like-
the over explanation of everything. It's like I thought that you do the comparison of black people and white people and how do you? It's like that's a joke, man. You don't
It's a
gotta
joke.
explain it back to me. Like I know what I was doing up there. That was not necessary. But no, this was a good time. I
Yes.
enjoyed myself. I had many laughs and like.
You're-
Mimicking basic human interaction. It's
Oh my god,
weird.
dude! Yeah, no, in Austria, that's not something we would very much talk about, but it is is a rather humorous juxtaposition between the way you would describe it and the way it. Here in Vienna, I would not say it's the same. No, it's very different. But
Yeah.
so you're like, well, okay, man, I didn't ask for a fucking compare and contrast essay on.
Hey man, but I feel like some comics might benefit from having somebody break down their joke structurally.
Yeah, you're probably talking to one of them, man. That's so funny to me. I find like I don't know. Have you done a comedy in Italy at all?
No, I didn't. I've only been to Rome, and I didn't get to perform while I was out there.
I know. Same here. I've only been to Rome. I didn't get to perform. I had a lot of Italians visit just randomly this one show. And if you've seen my act, you've heard this joke. But these guys, and I think this is true. I talked with a couple other people, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's just how Italians are." Is they were like so excited just to like watch me do stand up. And like clearly did not understand a lot of the things I was saying, but they were just like having such a good time and like laughing. Do you notice this also? Let me ask you this question: do you notice like European audiences? Maybe this is just particularly French, because the little comedy I've done in Germany, I don't know that this has been the same. They don't laugh so much as they like to like clap. Like there's a lot of like
They have to be trained. So, and especially. I mean, if you go to scenes where the comedy scene is younger, or I would say if you get like older people in the audience, a lot of them come from a background, especially like former communist bloc countries, come from a background of like cabaret and theater, where it's more like it's rude. They think it's rude to laugh out loud because you're like disrupting the performance. Yeah, which fuck, that's the exact opposite here. You're like, I was helping you, man. I was yelling out for things for you to tell, but like that. But yeah.
Oh my god, dude! The number of times a heckler has been like, "I'm helping the comedian."
Yeah.
Like, nah, dude. You don't walk up to a guy playing guitar and start trying to pluck the strings while he's doing it. Oh, I'm helping him play the chords. Like,
yeah, I mean, shit, dude. I did a show in Munich. Not this most recent time, but the last time I was there, and the comics who were going on before me. It was an older crowd, and the comics who were going on before me. I mean, a lot of them were like came from other backgrounds, theater and whatnot, and spoken word, and so. I mean, they were all right, but like I went up and did my thing, and it's like American style stand up comedy, and they were losing their shit.
oh, that's great.
And I got to the point where it's like one of those where you're crushing so hard you have to slow down.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and they're just like big laughs and just like applause breaks and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I only got 8 minutes up
Yeah,
here,
dude.
guys. Like, calm down. Like,
I'm only telling 2 jokes a minute, man. This is
yeah, it was almost absurd, like how much they were enjoying it. But like the idea of them just like clapping and giving applause breaks on like every every
Fucking
joke
joke.
that came together. And I'm like, man, this would get like mild chuckles in some places in Chicago.
That's so funny. I do this at the comedy bar and get tomatoes thrown at me.
Yeah, but well, one of the things I tell people about going overseas, and I'm glad you mentioned about Italy, and that's not getting up, is that I try to typically avoid Western Europe when I travel. One is because there's a lot of other comics who come from like the UK and whatnot. So in some places it feels like you're back in America where you're competing against people who have like television credits and stuff like that. But also and comedy is more saturated over there. So like the type of deals you can get for like making money is similar to here, where it's going to be like, yeah, you get $10 here.
Yeah, we'll pass a hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's doing comedy in
And people
Paris,
and audiences
basically.
was like, yeah, why would I pay you when there's like 50 other
Netflix.
comedy shows
Yeah, whatever. I can.
on this street? Yeah. And the other reason is a lot of those places like France and Italy and Spain, you know, those countries, they want to hear comedy in their own language, you know? So, and I think it's partly because, like, I say, like, any place that had an empire, you know? Like, they're like, why would I ever speak any other language?
Any other language.
We ruled the world at
That's
one
so
point.
funny.
So why would anybody in Spain want to hear, you know, English comedy?
Yeah.
When it's like we have an entire continent where they speak Spanish. So fuck you guys. Like learn our language. Yeah, so outside of like the big cities, you know, like Paris and Madrid and Rome, finding English opportunities to do English speaking comedy is a little
pretty
more
low.
Yeah, it's sparse, and like there's typically like one English show or maybe two, and it's like once a month or once a week or something. But in any case, it's harder to do to tour around and make any kind of significant money.
Yeah.
In places like
you
that.
You do okay though. You make decent money when you're doing when you did the tour.
This tour I just did was the first time I made money.
Oh, got it.
So it takes a little, like, I mean, it's possible. It's definitely possible, and you just, I mean, I lucked out in a lot of ways. You know, a lot of things went right for me, but also just kind of understanding a little bit about the market and where you should be spending your time and money. Because I made a lot of mistakes still, but I still was able to get ahead. Just because I had those particular shows where it's like, okay, this is gonna be like a big money maker here.
Yeah.
And you know, I could subsist off of this show, where I could do like 3 shows after it, where it's like, and you're not gonna make a lot.
You might break even, but keep the boat afloat. But these big tent pole shows are gonna keep you up.
Yeah. So now, then I'm trying to plan out another one already, where I'm like, okay, now I know my areas where I can make money here.
Yep.
And I can do well here, and I can let's book those first. Let's get those solidified, and then build around it. And then, you know, because you got to think about, one of the things I learned doing it this last time was promotion. Like how much you have to do, how much goes into promotion and advertisement. And so,
what do you use for advertising? A lot of Facebook?
Yeah, a lot of online, Facebook, Eventbrite, Meetup even.
Yep.
But like learning how the algorithms for the ads, what works well, what doesn't work as well, timing out the ads, stuff like that.
You ever use Reddit? Like r/,
no.
yeah. I don't know. I'm just curious. Like, I was thinking about this we can talk, whatever. I don't want to interrupt your flow too much, but something I thought of also is in terms of targeting like a specific area, because you could go to r/ like Paris or r/ Berlin or whatever and take out like a couple of ads on there.
Oh, I was not aware of that. That might be a decent idea, but then again, I don't know if I want Redditors.
Yeah, knowing your shit. Yeah.
Well, I just knowing the little bit I know about Reddit, it seems like the people on there, I don't know.
Yeah.
The one.
Yeah, it's like an entire website of YouTube comments.
Yeah, I just have people confronting me after the show, and just like I don't know if you heard this story, but I got confronted after a show in Bratislava, Slovakia. There's like one American guy who lives there. He's a drunk idiot. And every time I've gone out there, I've ran into this guy, and it's always a fucking hassle every single time, because he always, like the last 2 times I went there, he heckled. And
what is this dude's problem?
He's a fucking American living in a country where people aren't confrontational. That's what happened. Like if this guy were here, he would have got
ass
knocked
kicked.
out. Yeah. But like after the show in Bratislava, he pulls me aside, and you know, I kind of know like this guy's gonna start some bullshit, but I was like, yeah, he put in money, so let's hear whatever. This might be entertaining at the very least. But then he starts accusing me of stealing jokes.
What?
From Slovakian comedians.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I'm like, dude, this is the first time I've been in this country in a year.
Yeah.
And I don't know other Slovakian comedians.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you know, just like one after the other. I'm like, which jokes? What are you talking? Like, show me your evidence. So I was like breaking down my joke.
How many other Slovakians are in the fucking American Marine Corps?
Yeah. Well, I was breaking down my writing process and how I even vet jokes. I'm like, yeah, if I think of a premise and I think like I may have heard this somewhere, I Google it.
Yeah.
And I YouTube it and see is like, does somebody else have something like
Yeah,
this?
no, that's just
similar?
total bullshit that this guy's
Yeah,
slinging
and
at
so
you.
it got to the point where it's just I'm just talking with a conspiracy theorist.
Oh, yeah.
because
This dude's
after
just trying to
everything,
make hay
yeah,
just to do
after
it.
every single thing I would say, he'd be like, I don't know, man. It just seems like a lot of coincidences, and it's like I have this feeling. I'm like, this is like you're starting. Your body language is getting like irritable. I'm like, I'm irritated because I'm talking to an irritated
fucking a guy
person.
who's coming at me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like of course
You
I'm
could walk
gonna,
up and accuse me of stealing jokes.
Yeah, it's like I was like,
Imagine if I walked up to you, asshole, and was like, "You cheating on your wife?"
yeah,
like,
that's
out of
what
nowhere.
I'm saying. Like
He'd be like, "What the fuck? Fuck you."
yeah. And then like if you gave him all this evidence, where you're like. Or he was like, yeah, I was here. Here's my alibi. I was just with this person, like this, and then you're still like, I don't know,
Yeah,
man.
I don't
I
know,
still
man.
think you were cheating. It's
Seems like a pretty tight case you got
yeah,
there.
you would be pretty fucking annoyed.
Seems like
with
you really
somebody-
rehearsed this.
Yeah.
Like, that's so fucking lame, dude. I'm sorry to hear that. That blows. I'm also sorry to do this. This is a really fun conversation, but I actually have to get going.
Oh, okay.
Which sucks. Because this is a lot of fun. We've been at this for a little over an hour already.
Oh shit! For real? That
man.
really flew by because I'm like, oh shit, my parking expired.
You'll be fine.
City of Chicago is
I know.
gonna
Let's
come
come
after
at
me.
you.
Yeah.
John, where can people follow you, man?
John McCombs comedy on John McCombs comedy on Instagram, also Facebook. I have a website, John McCombs comedy. John McCombs comedy in general. Yeah, there you go. That's I made it real simple for everybody. I'm not on Twitter. So don't follow me there, but Instagram, Facebook, I have a website, all that stuff. So yeah.
Well, kick ass, man. I'll list it out on the show notes with this guy. I'm not sure when this is going to be coming out. I got like so many episodes in the can right now. I went from being way behind on this show to like having way too much material lately. Well, cool, man. I appreciate you stopping by. This was great. We'll have to do a part 2 and dive into this a little further, man.
Yeah.
So take it easy, dude, and we'll talk to you soon.
Awesome.
Thanks so much for listening to the Madness Continues podcast. Once again, this is Brendan Lemon. If you liked what you listened to, please take a minute to like, to subscribe, to give us a rating. It really does mean a difference. I say us like there's more than one person doing this. It's just me, everybody, so every little bit of support you can lend would be really appreciated by me. If you want to share this podcast, it would really, really, really mean a lot to me. I hope you come back. I hope you listen and check out the other podcast I produce, Funny Planet, where we talk to different comedians from all over the world about what they're doing and how they are funny in their own cultures. You can learn a thing or two and you'll have a laugh too. Anyway, take care. Take it easy. We'll see you here next time.